Knowing how to learn photography doesn't need to take years, but still, unfortunately, many people do end up wasting years because they don't focus on getting advice from those ahead of them. Hi, I'm Hugo, and look, years ago I was terrible in photography, but now I take photos like this, and I have over 284,000 people following my photography on Instagram alone, and I have collaborated with brands such as Sony, Adobe, and Etihad Airways. And as a result, I get asked a lot of questions on daily basis, so that's why I'm making this Q&A for you. So in this video, I'll be answering questions such as how to improve in photography the fastest, what are the pros and cons of being a full-time photographer, and then also some personal questions you guys had. And before we dive in, I'm not answering questions now regarding gear. This is stuff that I get asked a lot about. So if you do still want to get answers on what camera I use, what lenses I use, and what other tools I use, then grab the free photography toolkit I have linked in the description, and you will learn all of this. Alright, so let's dive into it. The first question I got was, what's the most important thing I should focus on as a beginner if I want to grow fast and create powerful images even without the fancy gear? And now I'm gonna be talking about the most important thing, not important things. So the most important thing that you should focus on is learning what makes photos good. What makes a photo work? That's the most important thing you should focus on. Yes, when you go out and shoot, you will learn some things that what you shouldn't do based on you maybe not getting photos what you are after. But I would really go and learn this from people ahead of me, that what makes photo work. Like, why did they choose to do this thing on the field? And if you can get personalized guidance, like a mentor, then I would really want the feedback on what they would have done differently in my shoes. So, but in short, learning what makes a photo good. That's the most important thing. And to continue still a little bit from that, is that if you do just shoot, you aren't gonna be learning these things necessarily. You need to get some new ideas into your mind so you'll get new results. Like Albert Einstein once said, or at least it's quoted for him. I'm not sure if he actually said it, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you just go shoot, and you don't get new ideas into your mind what to do differently in your photos, then you're gonna keep getting the same result. So you need to get new ideas in so that you will get new type of photos, if that makes sense. Alright, second question. How can I improve my photography skills more? I know for real this question is weird, but still, it's now weird. But very simply, now expanding from the previous point was the most important thing. Now here are a few different steps. So the first step is to learn a lot, then shoot a lot, then get clear how to improve. So where in your photos like you should be improving, where is room for improvement. And if you do have a mentor, then a mentor can help with this. And then according to the feedback you get, then you just adjust your approach. So learn a lot, shoot a lot, then find out what's stopping your images from being amazing, and then take that feedback and then take new photos. And here, of course, I also do offer mentorship, although as of now I am sold out, but soon I have some openings. So if you would be interested in getting my personalized feedback for you and personalized guidance to help you become an amazing photographer who could win awards, or then just that you can make the best photographs for yourself even if you don't want to share them with anybody, then just hit the link down below in the description to join the waitlist, and I will inform you when new spots open. So go ahead and join it over there. And then moving on to question number 3, which was about the pros and cons of being a photographer. Let's start with the pros. So the first pro is that you get to see the world. I think that's one of the coolest things. Of course, this depends on what type of a photographer you are. And yeah, so if you, for example, would be a full-time studio photographer, then you couldn't see the world. But then if you're a studio photographer, then maybe you don't value seeing the world as much. But for me, when I do outdoor photography, I get to pretty much choose where in the world I am at. Like pretty much. As long as I have some sort of a Wi-Fi, I can basically work from anywhere. And like right now I'm in Georgia, and I'm living in a mountain village for a bit over 3 weeks. And this is so cool. Without photography, I would not be here. So this is really awesome. Another pro is doing what you love as work. That I love this. Of course, there are times when I don't want to do something. For example, recording this YouTube video. Honestly, it wasn't the favorite thing that I wanted to get started with. Now it's fun when I'm recording this, but setting up everything wasn't the most fun part. But I love that I can still do this as work, and it doesn't feel like work. Like taking photos doesn't feel like work for me, and that's because how I've designed my business and my life. So I love taking photos the same way as I did many years ago. So yeah, I get to actually enjoy my life really to the fullest, and nobody's controlling what I can do with my life. Basically, I value freedom a lot, and growth from entrepreneurship is a big thing that I find being a big pro, because when you are an entrepreneur, you need to kind of upgrade yourself all the time. That you need to become better. I'm not saying in photos, in photography, but in many different areas. So you need to learn, of course, the business side, how that works. You need to take care of your health and really improving that to make sure you are sharp. So you kind of need to be like an athlete as well. And yeah, doing this forces you to just upgrade yourself, which I think is great. So you don't stay stagnant. And we humans, we feel great when we grow in some ways. We become better. So this career path does kind of force that, which is good. And then my favorite thing is that you see the world in a different way. So now that I've been doing photography for a long, long time, I don't see the world in the same way as I did before it. Like right now, I see patterns. I see lines when I'm going, out. I see like the roads that are leading to something, like leading lines. I see compositions everywhere. I see the patterns. I notice smaller details that I would have completely missed had I not done photography. I find I appreciate the details, the smaller things in life now much more. Previously, I kind of sleepwalked, kind of past many things. Now I notice many more things. I'm more conscious of what's around me. I think that's honestly one of the coolest things about photography. All right, then the cons. So here isn't actually that many. And I think this is because I don't like to put things into pros and cons really. Because I see many things that could be cons, as pros, because challenges make us grow, and then it ends up being a good thing. So that's why I don't have many like cons, so to say. But I have like one main con, which it's a challenge. But yeah, it is that you have more pressure to get great photos. And if this wouldn't be a career, then there wouldn't be as much pressure. So, for example, now that I'm in Georgia, I'm not yet went to shoot at all. But if we imagine that I would be here for 2 weeks and I don't get a single photo I'm proud of, which really I don't think it has really ever happened if I'm like 3 weeks at the place, at 2 weeks I don't get any photos. But sometimes the conditions just, for example, don't work out. If it just is, for example, raining and I just don't get any photos, then in that case there's more pressure because I've spent money to come to Georgia, and the photos kind of also work as my marketing material. So then if I don't get enough photos that are great, then yeah, it gives much more pressure. Like I kind of like need to get some great captures here. So right now it doesn't feel challenge or pressure, but if I would go a couple of weeks and the conditions would be horrible, then that pressure adds up. And this is on like every trip basically, that if I wouldn't do this as a career, then I can just kind of go to locations and just be okay if I don't get any great photos. I can just enjoy the moment and that's it. But yes, I'd say that's like the only main con. And why I don't have more cons really is I feel because I've now really optimized the way I live, or like how my business is. If we go back a couple of years, it would have been so different because I didn't really think through how I want my business to look like. And I think most photographers don't end up optimizing things. So then they end up making a business that actually keeps them stuck, which sucks. So yeah, that's kind of the only con I have for now. Then another question: do I have a favorite photo I've taken? The answer is no. It's the same thing as choosing your favorite child. Although I don't have a child, I don't have children. But anyway, I don't have. Then was it hard to start photography? I really want to be a wildlife photographer, but yeah, the question ends there. But yeah, but was it hard to start? Was it hard to start? No, because starting is just a decision, right? Like you get intrigued about photography, and then you just decide whether you don't start photography or you do start photography. It's just a choice, and you make the choice, and then you have started photography. But then learning photography in the beginning, of course, was a challenge. Like, what was the best way to go about it, and so on. So that was a challenge. I didn't have a clear path to go forward. I was just kind of, yeah, all over the place. so yeah, the decision to get started was not difficult, but then learning how to improve photos was a challenge. Then what is the most perfect picture that you took that doesn't look real? I'd say this one that I put at the screen right now. I don't think it's a perfect photo, but I think that's a photo that many people have said it's AI. So I think that's I go with this one. Then why did I start to click such amazing pictures? First of all, thank you. And yeah, why did I start? I'd say there's two main reasons. So one is just memories. That's the main thing. What made me want to start photography? I wanted to I found it fascinating when I saw my cousin take a photo and capture a moment in time, and I thought that's so cool that you can go and capture a moment and then you have it for yourself forever. So that was the main thing that fascinated me. Like I wanted to, my dream was to travel and to take photos, capture moments from my travels, and I'm so grateful I can I can do that right now. But that was the main reason. The second reason was to, yeah, well, I guess like have fun and express myself. That I just found it cool that I could tell stories through photos, and yeah, kind of like showcase what's on my mind, but just in a visual way. So I've always found storytelling fascinating. Like when I was a kid, I wrote quite much stories, and then later it developed to visual storytelling, which is kind of cool. Then a more personal question that one of you asked, and it's not too personal. So, in what way or why were you bullied in the past? So, yeah, for those who don't know, I was bullied my entire childhood, and I'm very open about it because I want to make sure that. I mean, I know many people are getting bullied, and I think me being open about my experience helps. And I mean, I know it helps at least to some people because I've got that told. But how was I bullied? Well, calling with names, but it wasn't just that. It was like more like targeted, so to say. It was just a continuous thing. Like it was like a not all the time daily occurrence. Sometimes there was some easier periods where it wasn't as bad, but then sometimes it really was daily. That's just like a kind of like attacking with words. But then there was also a period where it was much more like physical, like physically attacked as well. So there's a combination of these, and yeah, made me also. I think I don't know what was their exact goal, but like as a result, I didn't really feel I had anything to be proud of, or anything that I was really good at. Photography I kept as a secret, so that was the only thing I was truly proud of. But why did I get bullied? I don't know. I'd say probably because of jealousy. I was very good at school, and I had things others didn't. So I think jealousy probably a big thing. And I was also kind of an easy target because of my past. Like I've also had some illnesses, chronic ones, and like autoimmune stuff. So I think I was an easy target as well. And some bullies did tell me that it was just fun to bully me, which, well, is sad. But yeah. Moving on. How did I learn photography? So first, like it was like when I got my camera, I just went to shoot a lot of things. Some did work out somewhat. I mean, back then I thought that it worked out, and then many photos, of course, didn't work out. Then I very fast hopped to YouTube, and I was there like for the maybe first 1 to 3 weeks until I invested for the first time into gaining knowledge from a photographer in front of me, someone I looked up to learn how they do their editing. Then from there, I kept investing into learning how to make better photos, and then the biggest change in my photography that happened was when I did get feedback for my photos from a photographer who I looked up to at the time. And then I realized just many things that I was doing very incorrectly, and overnight my photography, like you could see the change overnight. And especially most of these things were about post-processing, that was the main mistakes. Then some composition mistakes and so on. Then I also saw the change fast, not overnight, but fast. So yeah, so first just shooting a lot, YouTube 1 to 3 weeks, then investing into my photography and continue to invest for for years, and now I've invested into business thing for for years too. So yeah, if I now were starting out, I would really get a mentor, because that's just the fastest way to improve, and you just have a clear path what you should do based on your unique case and your skills and the equipment you have and like everything. So if you have a chance to get a mentor, I would do it. And even though, like, of course, I run the mentorship, like I'm saying like yeah, like my students like have been so happy with the progress and stuff. So yeah, if you are interested in my mentorship, then yeah, there's the link to join the waitlist down below. And yeah, moving on. My favorite country I've been to. I will give an answer for photography and then for living. So for photography, Finland or Norway. Let's love the north for photography. I feel it's kind of the photography home for me. But then for living, I would say Indonesia and Bali to be specific. So I was in Bali for 2.5 months, in Indonesia for 3, and I just found it so amazing. So yeah, so great lifestyle there. If you get the chance to visit Bali, and it's not over photographed in my opinion. Yes, some spots are, but there's so many places to also see like for photography that yeah, haven't been popular. I had some waterfalls like to myself and stuff, so it's really cool. All right, and what was my most memorable experience in Indonesia? I would say it was seeing the orangutan. I can't wait to edit these photos. I will get around to doing this very soon. But seeing the orangutan was amazing, and these weren't like a fed orangutan. Many photographs you see of orangutan, they are like they have been fed, so they come for the food and then you take photos. But these weren't fed, so like that was so great and so rewarding when I saw the orangutan like in the wild. And then getting photos of them, and especially seeing like an alpha orangutan, like a massive one. So, and that's so rare because in that area of the jungle, there's just one of these like alphas, like these big ones. And yeah, I trekked in the jungle and camped for 3 nights, 4 days. Yeah, so that was, I'd say, the one. Then would I photograph Ireland? Yes, I have some spots, not too many spots marked down for Ireland, so yes, we'll see when and if that happens, but I'm gonna do it. Then, have I been to the Philippines? I haven't yet, but I want to. I hope to make this trip in the next few years. Just need to figure out when I want to do it. Then, any tips for beginners? So I hope this video so far has given some tips for beginners, but here's some points I wrote down that I wanted to give you. So first of all, don't overcomplicate photography. It doesn't need to be extremely complicated. Always seek out how to improve. If you can get a mentor, that's the best and fastest way to grow as a photographer. And yeah, if you are 100% sure your finances can't allow that, then start off YouTube, and then, well, I still do recommend that eventually you get a mentor, because you will at some point hit a threshold where your progress is slow or invisible, and then when somebody else shows you like, hey, here's what to do differently so your photos will be better, then yeah, I mean, like, you will just progress faster. Then take lots of photos and don't overdo anything, so to say. So lots of mistakes can be avoided if you just make sure you don't overdo anything, kind of. So for example, if you overdo saturation, you have a very saturated photo, then yeah, it's gonna look like a beginner photo. If you add too much clarity into your photos, so like in post-processing, that's gonna look like a beginner photo. If you have way too much ISO and you don't know how to remove it, it's also gonna look like a beginner photo. So don't overdo stuff and you will avoid many mistakes. Alright, Hope that helps. Then how old am I? I'm 22 years old. The best to start by improving on one, or okay to do nature, landscape, macro, travel all at once. So to clarify the question a bit, should you focus on one photography niche or do multiple at once? So the good news here is that if you do improve in one, then you kind of do also improve many at the same time, because there are many things that do cross over. For example, if you learn editing, then you can take most of those editing things and then just apply to a different niche of photography. The same thing with composition and stuff. Now, if we get very scientific, you will always make the most progress when you focus on one thing. That just is how our brains work. If we get down to the neuroscience of things, there's something called the myelin in our brains. And to simplify it, the more myelin we have in our brains around a specific skill, then the better we are. And the less you focus on different things, then the faster your myelin levels will grow. And yeah, the more myelin you have, the better you are. So you will grow faster as a photographer if you just focus on one thing instead of like 10 things, because then your myelin will grow around that one specific skill the fastest. But here's a caveat that it's important photography is fun, and if you find it boring to just focus on one thing, I would say just focus on many. For example, with my student Finn, we work on different niches. So he does macro and more of a landscape, nature, outdoor, some wildlife, and so on. So these are the things we focus on with him, and he's seen some amazing progress. So if you want to do multiple, I'd just say you can do that. But then if you only have one interest, then just focus on that. I don't think this makes for too much difference. Just have fun. And that's, I think, the most important thing. If you don't have fun, then you won't just continue. What is my next adventure? So, as of filming this, I haven't yet announced it. So, I now have this Georgia as the adventure. I'm living in this mountain village here. And it's really interesting. I'm not here been for too long, so I can't say much about the place. But yeah, I'm gonna be here living and exploring some places very close to the Russian border. And yeah, so this is the adventure. Many people found it a bit weird. I'm going to Georgia. I don't know, is it weird, but I'm liking it so far. And lastly, the last question. So, how to make a living in photography nowadays? So I don't think this has changed too much compared to past few years. I can't comment how this has changed like since 20 years time, because I'm not I don't have experience. I was like 2 years old 20 years ago. So what has changed is many clients can expect now video, so that's something to be aware of. Now you can still be without taking videos. Like you can still make it as a photographer and you can sell your photos and stuff. You don't need to make video. Those clients are also out there who just want photos. But in general, how to succeed in business is, first you need to have a valuable skill, which can be the photography. But that's not the most important thing when it comes to business. To succeed in business, you actually need to know the business side of things. So, how to make an offer that feels so great that your possible client has hard time saying no to it. Then you need to know how to find and get clients. In the beginning, your clients won't be coming to you. Like for my mentorship, now I have over 440 people on the wait list. But like if we go 2 years back, I had to more like go and hunt for the clients. So that's what you need to do in the beginning, hunting. And then at some point, then people will come to you. And then you need to learn sales. So if you don't know how to sell, then you won't make any sales. And sales isn't like a bad thing. I just see that if you really believe in what you sell, then it's a disservice if you don't even try to sell it. Like, I know if I wouldn't be selling my photography mentorship, I know that there's gonna be people who will end up wasting years of trying to figure things out on their own. Some will give up their hobby of photography because they get so frustrated there isn't enough progress. And I'm aware of that if I don't offer this help, then people will end up wasting time and maybe quitting photography in general. So yeah, if you have something you are truly proud of, then you need to learn how to sell it. You must do it. So yeah, but those were the 2 questions for now, and I hope you found these answers helpful. And yeah, when it comes to learning photography the fastest, I did mention my mentorship multiple times here. So if you are someone who wants to progress the fastest and become the photographer you've always dreamt of being, then join the waitlist for Storylines, my private photography mentorship experience, from the link in the description, and I will let you know when spots open. And know that you only will need maximum of 5 hours a week to commit to this, and no more. So 5 hours is what you need. So yeah, I hope to be able to help you also one day, like I have helped many others, students in 20 plus countries. But until then, if you want to learn what are the 7 mistakes photographers make consistently in their photos, then watch this video over here so you know how to avoid making these mistakes in your photos. Right. This was awesome. See you in the next one.